not the end result, but enjoying the transitions in the process. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then on your last exhalation, go ahead and lift the head and lift yourself to hands and knees. And we're gonna do Betalasana, our cat pose, warming up the spine. So be sure the knees are hip width apart, hands are hip width apart or shoulder width apart. And then go ahead, as you inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the spine to the front of the body, and lift the gaze. You don't wanna bend the cervical spine or the neck. Just lift a little bit. And then exhale, begin to tuck, arch, and drop the head. We're gonna actually take 3 breaths in each movement here. So on your next inhale, go ahead and drop the belly again towards the mat, and then find your breath. And as you're here, see if you can, consciously release gripping around the spine. Even if you think you're letting go and you're keeping, the belly completely soft, see if you can let the spine sink a little bit deeper into the back. And then begin to drop the tailbone, arch the back, drop the head. Press the hands and the tops of the feet into the mat, and we're gonna take 3 breaths here. Pressing the thighs towards the face. We'll do 1 more round. Inhale. Lift the gaze, lift the tail. Let the spine sink between the shoulder blades. And especially releasing at the lower back. Next exhale, arch. And then we can begin to put some movement into this. So moving the hips, dropping the shoulders. It's so crazy coming into elevation. I have like bloody nose, bloody gums, all of this. Talk about transition of the physical body too. A couple more movements here, and then go ahead and sit back on the heels. Extend the arms. And then we're gonna do a little bit of walking. So start by walking the hands to the right. Be sure that you feel that expansion in the left side of the body, and just soften. Reach the top hand a little bit further. So the left fingertips will reach a little bit further than the right. Come back to that deep belly breathing. And then slowly lift and slowly walk. You're putting your spine into some deep manipulations here, so we don't want to move too quickly. Go ahead and soften. Reach the right fingertips. Breathe into the right side of the body. And don't try to press down the right, the right sitting bone at any time. We want to keep our SI joints happy, so just let it lift. We always want to keep that mobility. Walk the hands back to center. Come to hands and knees. We're going to cross at the ankles and have a seat. And we're going to do a seated eagle pose. So the best you can do, just bend the right leg. See if you can get the knee pointing straight forward. And then we're going to stack the left leg on top of that. So if your foot just ends up being over your knee, however the legs end up, that's fine. If you're able to take it further and stack the knees, then that's great. Just see what the top leg does. It'll be okay, whatever it is. Let's kind of settle into what's happening, the sensations that are happening in the legs. And then we're gonna add the arms. So inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, bend at the elbows. And we're gonna take our right elbow over our left. So ideally, and I should probably take, this is why we don't wear denim during yoga class. Okay, so ideally we're gonna wrap the hands up and bring the palms together. The other option is this, and then another option is just to hug. Okay, so you decide where your arms are. And then we're gonna inhale and lift up and back. And then exhale, arch. Be sure that you're really arching the back, pressing through the shoulder blades and dropping the head. Inhale up. Exhale down. I know you really like pigeon pose, Marina, so this is very similar, the fact that it's getting to the outside of the legs. And then one more time, inhale up and back. And then exhale back to center. Let's just gaze forward here for a moment. Your arms will look a little blurry. Draw the inner edges of the shoulder blades back. And then exhale and release. Other side. Left knee pointing straight forward. Let's see what that top leg can do. And then once the knees are able to get stacked, which eventually it can happen if it's not happening now, then the feet will come out and be even on either side. This is my injured leg, so it doesn't stack the same way. So just be okay with where it is. That's part of the process that we were talking about. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend at the elbows. Bring your left arm over your right. Bring the palms together. Notice where you're feeling the sensations in the legs. And then inhale up and back. Nice, slow, controlled movements. Exhale down, round the back. And just be mindful of what you're feeling, where you're feeling it. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then last time, inhale up and back. And then exhale back to center. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. Find your focus point. Keep your eyes open here. Gaze past the arms. And then next exhale, go ahead and release. We're going to unravel the legs, come back to hands and knees. And then we're going to curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and come into downward facing dog. So here we go, first downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal the feet out. Do very, very deep bends in the knees, and then alternate pressing the heels towards the mat. If your back is rounded right now while you do this, that's okay. Focus on the legs first. Be sure that the roots of your fingers are still pressed into the mat. Fingers are spread. And then do this a couple more times, and then we're going to go ahead and come to stillness. We're going to move the hips a little bit back and forth. So swing them to the left, to the right. Kind of like windshield wiper legs that we do sometimes at the end of class. And then go ahead and come back to your regular down dog. Extend through the tailbone. Keep the knees bent. Always keep the knees bent if you need to. Because honestly, downward facing dog is meant to be a spine extender, not a hamstring stretcher. So we focus on the spine here. And it's also an inversion, so getting that blood rushing to the head. We're gonna bring the right foot forward, coming into a lunge. So go ahead and take your time doing that. However you need to get the right foot forward, bring it up there between the hands. Drop the back knee, uncurl the back toes, and just take a moment here to soften that left hip towards the mat. Shoulders are still back. And then go ahead and lift the hips back a little bit so we can bring our right leg to a 90-degree angle. Press all four corners of the right foot, and we're gonna inhale and bring the arms up. As you exhale, twist to the right, bring the hands in front of the heart, and then we're actually gonna straighten the left arm, put it on the outside of the right knee, and then the right hand is gonna come behind our back. So coming into a twist here, press your right shoulder back. The chin can just stay right over the heart. We're gonna take a couple of breaths here. Nice long neck. And of course, gathering at the lower belly, in and up, getting tall in the spine. Next exhale, look down at your foot, bring the hands back. We're gonna drop this knee out to the right. So coming into that external rotation and that pigeon pose. Extend the left leg behind you. You're familiar with this pose and how you like it, so just come into it how you like it, and we're just gonna take 5 breaths. So whether that's staying up here, or coming down to forearms, or stacking the fists. Find your pigeon and take 5 breaths, just like we did in the beginning. Belly, chest, exhale. And once you're finished, come back to have the torso up, and we're gonna do some of that yoga breakdancing at early morning, Tuesday. Lean on the right sitting bone, switch, bring the left leg to a bend, and swing the right leg behind you. So coming into pigeon on the other side. When you arrive where you're comfortable, take your 5 breaths. Deep, deep breaths. And when you're finished with your 5 breaths, go ahead and sit up. Curl the back toes under, so the right toes get curled under. Lift the back knee. We're gonna carefully bring ourselves into downward facing dog. So take your time, do it carefully. Walk the legs out. Take a moment, extend through the tailbone, ears to the inner arms. And then we're gonna come into that lunge twist on the other leg. So bring the left leg forward, however you need to get it there. Drop the back knee. We're gonna take a moment, bringing the inner edges of the shoulder blades towards each other to keep that chest lifted, the collarbone spread, softening the hips towards the mat. Remember, it doesn't matter when our pelvis is lower than the knee. It's okay if the knee goes over the ankle. And then go ahead and shift the hips back so we can get that 90-degree angle. Press all 4 corners of the foot into the mat. Inhale, bring the arms up. As you exhale, twist to the left. Bring the hands in front of the heart. And then straighten the right arm outside of the left leg. Left hand comes behind us, just to kind of help lift the chest. And we're going to take a couple of breaths here. Press the left shoulder back. Next exhale, look down at your foot. Bring the hands back to the mat. Lift the back knee, come into downward facing dog. We're just gonna take a breath here and then walk towards the front of the mat. So look up, walk forward. Take a moment here, plant your feet, root them down into the mat, bend the knees. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. So you're probably backwards right now. Go ahead and just come to the front of your mat. Take a moment, find your balance, find your calm, find your breath. In Tadasana, we balance the weight throughout the body evenly. We breathe evenly through the fingertips, down through the feet, out through the crown of the head. If you haven't tried closing your eyes yet for this posture, try doing that now. Just to kind of see where your balance is. And then if your eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees as generously as you need to. Inhale, look up, or use your hands on your shins or your thighs to flatten the back. And then as you exhale, step back. You can come to your knees here since it is gentle yoga. You can come to your knees for the plank, chaturanga, or do the full expression. Evenly lower the body. Use your left arm as a pillow. Grab your right ankle, bring the heel towards the buttocks. Press the hips into the floor. Try to keep the knees from, splaying open. Try to keep them in line with the hips. So if you do have to grab the toes, that's completely fine too. We're just going to take another breath or two here. Shoulders are back. Exhale, release. Switch pillows. Grab the left ankle or foot. Press the hips into the mat. Shoulders back. Find your breath. Exhale, release. Bring your hands to the lower ribs. Elbows are back. Inhale, lift to a cobra. And then curl the toes under. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. We're going to take 5 breaths here. And you can always choose child's pose as well. Curl the buttocks up towards the ceiling. Press the roots of the fingers. Inhale, look to the front of your mat, and then step forward. Exhale, fold. Get the belly onto the thighs. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good. Release the arms. Bring the right leg back. We're going to come into warrior 1. So be sure that your heel is lined up with the other heel. And then your back foot is angled to fit your anatomy, which, you might have to widen your feet or put it at more of a 60-degree angle, okay? So once you get that right hip forward, bend into the front knee. Press the outer edge of the back foot. And then my stance is too wide. So I have this really big curve in the lower back, so I'm going to come forward a little bit. That's because my psoas is tight. So gather at the lower belly next to inhale through the crown of the head. Drop the sacrum. You'll feel more of a stretch in the front leg. Psoas. Hello, psoas. Bring the arms up. Find your breath. Bring your palms together. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. We're just going to do a little arm movement here. So keep your focus point. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open. Inhale, up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Tip forward. Bring the arms behind you and start to come into warrior three. So bring the right toes forward. You can stay right here. Or if you feel like lifting your leg, you can. Keep the foot flexed, keep the toes pointing down. Remember that the prize is in the process. So if you need to keep your toes down here today, that's good. Once you're finished, bend both knees, bring the feet together, come back to Tadasana. Other side, left leg back. Bring the left hip forward, bend the front knee. Press the outer edge of the back foot. Engage the lower belly, drop the sacrum. Inhale, arms up. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. And then palms together, hands in front of the heart. Inhale, up. Exhale, open. Inhale, up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Begin to tip forward in your warrior three. Either keeping the toe on the floor or lifting the leg. Find your breath, and when you're ready, just come out of it when you're ready. Return to Tadasana. And then bring the right leg up and out. So we're going to do a wide leg forward fold. I'm not going to give too much instruction here. Just be sure that your toes are pointing straight forward. We're just going to take a break with the upper half of the body. So inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Kind of put your hands on your hip creases, and then exhale, push those back, tip forward. Bring your hands down to a block or to the mat, and just be sure to completely drop the head. Return to that breath, belly, chest. And then place your left hand right below the face in the center of the mat. We're going to do a twist here. Right fingertips are going to come press the right shoulder back and move up towards the ceiling. Just for one breath. As you exhale, bring the right hand down. Left fingertips are going to help press the left shoulder back and then point up towards the ceiling. And then exhale down. Walk the hands to the right foot. You can grab the ankle or just grab the foot. Take a breath here. Still drop the head. And then walk the hands over to the left foot. You can bend the knee a little bit if you need to. Grab the foot, drop the head. Stretching the inner adductors, the inner thighs. Walk the hands back to center, and then we're just gonna walk the feet in. Like some crazy 90s dance or something. Bend the knees, inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Okay, so we're gonna do another balancing pose. And I know you say that you struggle with this, which is exactly why we're gonna do it. So if you need to find something nearby to hold on to, the wall, whatever, I think you said you might have something nearby. If not, that's okay. It's okay to fall. It's totally fine. Press and root the left foot into the floor, into the mat. Find a focus point, any spot on the floor. Find your breath. We're gonna bend to the right knee, and we're just gonna grab the knee. We're just gonna hold it here. Flex the foot, lift the chest, and now use the right hand to bring the knee out to the right. And keep your left hand on the hip. Bring it back to center. Extend the leg, point the toes, 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Other side. This, by the way, is probably, it's hard. So if your leg wasn't too high, don't worry, it'll get higher. Plant the right foot into the mat, bend the left knee. So grab it with the left hand. You can grab it with both hands. Just bring the knee up to the chest. Chest is lifted, shoulders are back, foot is flexed. Keep your eyes on the focus point. Yeah, not just one eye. Keep both eyes on it. Go ahead, right hand on the hip, bring the left knee out to the left. Bring it back to center. And then extend the leg, point the toes, both hands on the hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, release. Come to the front of the mats. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back. Come to your knees, cross at the ankles, and have a seat. You're gonna bring the legs out in front of you, so come into Dandasana. Big toes together, tall through the spine, shoulders back. Put your hands on your thighs. If you feel like you're able to sit tall without the fingertips, then your hands will be on your thighs. Otherwise, you can keep them here to help lift the chest. Find your breath, your focus point, big toes, big, beautiful toes. One more breath. And then go ahead and release. So we're gonna do a forward fold, but I wanna give you a bit of a tip on how to keep that hinge. So, you know, a lot of us come to the mat with this rounding and tucking. So the first thing we wanna do is get the skin away from the sitting bones. And then it's almost like we're pulling the leg back into the hip socket. So see how deep you can walk the legs back, if that makes sense. You're just kind of pulling them back into the socket. And that should have given you a little bit more of a lift in the chest. And we're gonna keep the legs super strong because that's part of it too. The legs should be acting as if they're tearing the mat apart in order to give us that lift. So lengthen and exhale, fold. Once you feel the back round, stop and see how far you can get here. We don't wanna push too hard. We're looking for a gentle stretch. So grabbing the calf muscles, wherever it may be. Keep the shoulders back and the neck long. After another breath, see if you can go a little further. And then inhale, look up at your toes. Exhale, come back to a seated position. Bend the right knee. So we're gonna do like a Janu Shirshasana prep pose. So bring the right foot back. And sometimes we need to roll the calf muscle out to make sure, you shouldn't have any discomfort in your knee, by the way. If you do, just keep your foot in here, okay? So roll the calf muscle out. The heel should be touching the side of the body. There shouldn't be any space there. The sitting bone will be lifted. And then we're gonna try to separate the knees as much as we can. The left leg stays extended. We're gonna inhale and lengthen. And then exhale, bring the left forearm down to the floor, maybe. If it doesn't happen, you can stay here. And then next, we're gonna rotate the shoulder girdle open. So you can also just stay here. You can maybe keep your hand behind your back, or you can bring the right arm up and then begin to open the right side ribs. As we're leaning though, we also don't want to completely squeeze out the left side of the body. So we use our breath to keep that side of the body open as well. It means maybe we don't go as far. That's okay. We're going to take a few breaths here. Shoulders away from the ears. We keep the left foot flexed. And then next exhale, look down at your knee. Use your hand to press yourself back up slowly. And then we'll do the other side. So bring this right foot back forward. Take the left foot back. Roll the calf muscle out. Extend the right leg, separate the knees. Be sure the left heel is touching the side hip. And then also, we remember, like, automatically our body is going to tuck. So we need to untuck everything and get that sitting bone grounded. It also helps tilt the pelvis so we can get tall. So inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring the right forearm down. Left arm is going to come up. Rotate the shoulder girdle open, or the hand stays behind the back. Right toes stay flexed. And then don't forget to breathe, of course. Belly, chest, deep breaths. One more. Exhale, look down at your knee. Use your hand to press yourself up. And then carefully bring the knees back to normal. Bring the soles of the feet together. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. You can round the back here, drop the head, press the knees open with the elbows. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring the knees back together with your hands. Straighten the legs out, and then just kind of bounce the knees for a moment. We're going to do one more seated forward bend. So Upavista Konasana, the seated wide angle pose. And like we were just talking about, untuck, untuck. Legs stay active. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, come forward. As we're coming forward, obviously there needs to be an opposite action, which is pressing the legs active and pressing the knees back and open. So there shouldn't be, you should be actively pressing the knees into the floor. And then your hands can actually just be wherever, as long as you're not rounding the back. Inner edges of the shoulder blades squeezing towards each other. Eventually we reach for the outer feet, but you could also have your hands here. Begin to walk the hands over to the right leg. Exhale, soften. Begin to walk the hands over to the left leg. And exhale, soften. Come back to center. Come back to sitting upright. And then put your hands under your knees to lift the knees, bring the legs back together. We're gonna do a half boat pose. So honestly, sometimes a modified boat can be more difficult than full boat. So I'm going to show you the half boat, but if you want to extend the legs, just because where your center of gravity is, it might be easier to straighten the legs, you go ahead and do that. So first we want to kind of find that balance point right below the sacrum, not necessarily on the tailbone, but between the two places. It shouldn't hurt. Bend the knees. So even though we are going to be in flexion a little bit, try to keep the chest lifted. And then arms extend. Find your breath here. We're going to start with 3 breaths. Bring the feet down, hug the knees, drop the head. Lift the head. We're going to do it again. Lift the legs. So full boat would obviously look like this. You decide. Yogi's choice. 2 more breaths here. Chest lifted, engage the abdominals. Exhale, bring the feet down, hug the legs. So I talk about this in my strength and mobility class about engaging the abdominals. Obviously, we're not looking for a 6-pack. We're looking to keep the abdominal wall strong because it holds in some important things like our organs, you know? So for health reasons, we do want to keep that strengthened. All right, one more time with the boat. Go ahead and lift. Keep the feet flexed. 3 breaths. 1, 2, 1 more. 3. Bring the feet down, cross the legs. Keep the legs crossed and lie down on your back. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here. Give the back a rest. You should have a curve under the back and the lumbar spine area. Go ahead and wiggle the feet so you can straighten the legs. And then we're going to bend the knees. So first, we're going to kind of do those like windshield wiper legs that we did with the down dog. So separate the feet to the edges of the mat. And then we just alternate dropping to the right, dropping to the left. And, you know, hopefully, maybe not if your hips don't need it, but you might feel a stretch each time you drop, maybe in the lower back. Let's do this a couple more times. And then come back to center. Bring the feet towards each other again. We're going to do bridge pose. So coming into a back bend, now that our spine is warmed up, bring the heels close to the sitting bones, as close as you can actually. And even though you can't see your feet, in your mind's eye, really try, you'd be surprised. Every time I think my toes are pointing straight, they're actually still really far out. So you'll notice once you're up in the air, but it's just something to be aware of. Try to keep your toes pointing straight. Line up the ankles, the knees, the hips. We're going to actually keep the elbows bent today with our palms open and stretching the palm of the hand, keeping it taut. Shoulder blades are going to be flat on the mat. Take a breath here. And then press the heels, press the inner edges of the feet, lift the pelvis. And once we're here, we can walk the shoulders towards each other. We can maybe get a little bit higher. Press the heels, press the inner edges of the feet, keep the knees in line with the hips. That's the hard part. So find your breath here. Watch the belly go up and down. We're going to take 3 breaths. Keep pressing. See if you can go a little higher. 1 more breath. And exhale, slowly lower the pelvis. Pelvis hits the mat first. And then you can move the spine. Take a breath here. Neutralize the spine, and then you can hug the knees. Lift them one at a time. Rock a little bit back and forth. And then draw circles on the ceiling with your knees. So just rounding the hips. 3 times one direction, 3 times in the other. And then come back to center, bring the feet down. We're gonna do it again. So the reason we're keeping our elbows up like this is just to keep that open external rotation of the shoulders and keeping the shoulder blades or the scapula flat on the back. So again, prepare with the feet. Hip width apart, take a breath, and then exhale, lift. Press the inner edges of the feet. Walk the shoulders towards each other. Keep pressing, keep the chin lifted, don't choke yourself out here. Keep pressing the back body towards the front body. Deep belly breaths. You might notice your Ujjayi breath engage here, closing off the back of the throat, helping you focus. One more breath. Press higher. And lower. Take a breath here to neutralize the spine. And then one more time, hug the knees. Rock a little bit left to right. And then drop the feet down to the mat. Straighten the left leg. We're gonna do just a couple more things here. And then we're gonna do a supine tree pose. We've done this before, but just to open the hips a little bit more. Keep the knee open. This is the best way to do tree pose because you can bring your heel all the way up to the inner thigh and then get that opening in the hip that we want. So foot is at the inner thigh of the left leg. Left leg stays active here. So we always want to balance the stretching with the strengthening. Opening up the right hip flexor. And here you can just keep the hands on the belly. Take one more breath. And then use your right hand to lift the knee back to center. We're gonna bring the right knee up to the chest. So grab it with both hands. It doesn't have to go right up the center, so you can bypass the ribs and just bring it up. Keep the left leg extended. We're gonna lift the left leg just about 2 or 3 inches, and then turn the toes in. So coming into an internal rotation. Lift from the outer thigh. Don't go too high, otherwise it'll make it too easy. We're gonna take a couple of breaths here. Continue to bring the knee to the chest as you lift the leg. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. One more breath. You might be shaking here, that's normal. And lower. Ooh, straighten the right leg. So just, stretching the hip. We want to bring some stability and strength to the hip. So I don't know if you have the problem of hips clicking or anything like that, but that's just weakness in the hips. So we're just adding some strength. Bend the left knee, drop it out to the side, doing tree pose or Vrikshasana on our other leg. So try to get the foot or the heel as close to the inner thigh as possible. And we want a Tadasana spine, so hips are flat, facing straight up. Right leg is active, toes pointing up, foot is flexed. And here we can extend the arms overhead. It's really lengthening the spine. Actively, you're stretching through the fingertips, extending through the fingertips. Take 2 more breaths here. Evenly expanding the ribs like we did in the beginning. And then exhale, bring the arms down. Use your left hand to bring the left knee up towards the ceiling. And then we're gonna hug the knee up into the chest. So use both hands, hug the knee, and then extend the right leg. Foot is still flexed on the right leg. Lift just a couple inches, turn it in, toes turn in, internally rotating, lifting from the outer hip. Find your breath here. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Don't lift your leg with your face. Lift it with your outer leg muscles. Breathe through it. One more. And release. Release this leg. Bring the right knee up towards the ceiling. And then one more time, you can lift the legs one at a time, bring the knees to the chest, or come into happy baby from here. So grabbing the inner legs and then pressing the knees towards the floor. Grabbing the bottoms of the feet if you can, pressing the knees towards the floor. And then doing a little rocking left to right that way. When you're finished, bring the knees back together, drop the feet to the floor, extend the legs, bring the arms overhead, and take the longest stretch of your life. Maybe a yawn, circle the wrists and the ankles. And then if there's anything else that your body needs here, one more twist or something like that, go ahead and listen to that before you get ready for your Shavasana. Once you are ready for Shavasana, go ahead and have the arms along sides of the body, palms facing up, hands about 6 inches away. Separate the ankles here. Use this as an opportunity to let go. Give your body permission to let go of anything it's holding on to. Let the feet hang out to the sides. Be sure the chin is a little bit lower than the forehead. Close the eyes. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. In through the nose and out through the mouth. So first one, deep belly breath. Exhale. Feel the muscles begin to soften. Again, inhale. Separate the lips. Last one, stress, tension, gather it up. And let it leave. Feel the muscles softening even more.